Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Moa, aka Swedish Whiskey Girl, and today I'm here with Tennessee Bourbon. And it's this American Eagle 4-year-old. So of course, first of all, a massive thank you to American Eagle and Hillwood International for sending me this bottle. I'm so curious to try it. So like I said, it's a 4-year-old bourbon. It sits at 40% ABV and the mash bill is 84% corn. With bourbon, of course, has to be a minimum of 51% corn, but this is, of course, a little bit higher. They also have two other whiskies, an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, if I remember correctly, and they also have rye and wheat in their mash bill, so could maybe be that the rest of this whiskey has some of those components as well. Another really interesting thing I find about this brand is that they have age statements, which I don't find that often in bourbons. Of course, bourbon doesn't have a minimum aging period, unless you would call it a straight bourbon. Then you of course have to mature it for at least 2 years, and if it's younger than 4 years, you have to put it on the bottle. And I know one channel here on YouTube that I absolutely love is Rex and Daniel from the Whiskey Tribe, or the Whiskey Vault, and they've actually done this experiment where you basically just let the spirit touch oak for like a few seconds and you can still call it a bourbon. So it's interesting to see a company that do age statements, so you know exactly how old the spirit is in the bottle. It of course doesn't matter, because what matters in the end is if you like it or not, but I think it's an interesting thing to be able to tell what a younger bourbon tastes like, what an older bourbon tastes like, of course. And this one also has gone through a charcoal filtration, as of course another brand from Tennessee does, which tends to make the spirit a little bit extra smooth, you could say. Because of the charcoal filtrating just a few little compounds that might make it a little bit heavier. But let's get to trying the whiskey. We'll start by having a little nose, of course. It smells like fresh pine straight away. It's like a combination of paint, vanilla and pine. It's a curious but quite wonderful nose. It's like if you've just cut through wood and you get this really fresh scent of fresh wood. It also smells a bit like, I have these little scented sticks that I put in our Christmas tree because we have a plastic one, and that's kind of what it reminds me of, that really fresh pine needle scent. But there's a really kind of lovely warming sweetness in it, which is that kind of vanilla, and a bit of that slight chemical paint notes, which of course it can come from like the age or the actual spirit. A lot of the bourbons that I've tried, even the ones that I don't know the age of, have this kind of slight chemical painty note. But I mean, after all, it is alcohol at least 40%, so not so surprising that that would be part of it. Maybe a little bit of dried orange peel as well. It's a little bit citrusy, but quite a sweet citrus, or if it was orange with that vanilla influence, because the sweetness feels like it comes, like the sweet element, even though you can't really smell sweetness, but it's it seems to me that what I associate with the sweetness would belong to the vanilla. A little bit like it's a spice. Oh, a little bit like black pepper. Just a slight little spice in there as well. But primarily it's that paint, pine, vanilla. But let's have a little taste and see what we get there. Cheers! So smooth. But on the finish it leaves a bit of spice. I think it's that kind of black pepper spice, but very, very smooth. It's just enough heat of the spice to make it linger with you a little bit longer. Definitely quite an orange taste to it. My initial feeling, instead of picking out aromas, is that, ooh, nice. It's just very welcoming and not. It has an influence of oak, but it doesn't taste so oaky that it becomes super dry. The dryness comes from that slight black pepper spice, which kind of gets you at the finish. But initially, so easygoing. It's a pleasure drinking it. It's just very fresh. It doesn't feel that much, so the chemical notes that I got on the nose, not really there on the palate. I was expecting them, but no, it's more that oakiness and like a fresh orange note. The finish is not too long, but it's there and it will make you want to take another sip. It's a little bit like the feeling I get with Black Bottle. So when you drink Black Bottle, it's so juicy and fresh that the finish goes away, but you have this memory of like a nice, like, how to describe that? It's just a flavor memory in your mouth that just makes you want to have another sip. A little bit charred, but more if you have orange peels and you char those. What I really appreciate about this is that it's not overly dry, because if a whiskey is too dry, it almost makes the experience, I get the experience that it's almost difficult to taste the flavors, because I think when you salivate, it can help you bring out flavors in your mouth. And this definitely makes me salivate, and it's charred orange and that soft oak. Of course, could be the charcoal filtration that makes it seem so approachable, and the 40% ABV, but it's I wasn't expecting this, and I don't think it tastes that young. Of course, virgin oak has mighty power and can make really lovely flavors come out in a really short period of time. But 4 years has done good in these casks. It's or maybe it's the high mash bill, or the high corn content in the mash bill. A little bit of oaky tannins in the middle, but not that kind of. Sometimes it reminds me of a swimming pool or paint or acetone. Didn't get much of that at all. This just makes me so curious to want to try the 8 and the 12 as well, just to kind of see the comparison, what happens when it has a little bit more age behind it, and yeah. It also has this like a little bit cinnamon vibe, and it makes me think of cinnamon buns, because it has a bit of a almost a doughiness, but that vanilla sweetness and the cinnamon that kind of come together and makes me think of that. I mean, maybe I'll have to go into the kitchen and bake some cinnamon buns and try it with this, because I think that would be a real treat. Definitely has that vanilla sweetness still there, but also this kind of juicy orange sweetness, which means it isn't overly sweet to me. This was a curious one. I really enjoyed trying this one, and this is of course the first time I've tried it as well, so no preconceptions or anything. I would of course love to hear what you think. Have you tried American Eagle 4-year-olds? Have you tried the 8-year-old or perhaps the 12 instead? And what did you think? I of course love hearing your thoughts. And of course, if you like what I'm doing here on YouTube and my other social channels, I would of course be absolutely over the moon if you consider using my affiliate links with either Master Malt, the Whisky Exchange, or the Scotch Malt Whisky Society the next time you're shopping with them. And of course, this American Eagle 4-year-old you can find for under £30 on both the Whisky Exchange and the Master Malt if you're looking for it. If you're curious about my other channels or projects, you can of course also find my website, my Instagram, my Patreon, and my Teespring shop in the description as well. And speaking of course, a massive thank you to my wonderful supporters on Patreon who makes it possible for me to continue to grow and develop my brand. I hope you'll all have an absolutely wonderful week. Slàinte skål.
Wow.